Hello my beautiful co-creators, I'm here in Chicago and we're about to meet somebody that has really applied all those universal laws and has really developed his creativity and has tapped into this immense potential. We're gonna meet Terry that has created Terry Toffees and you're gonna hear his story. It's phenomenal and delicious. Hello my beautiful co-creators, I'm here with Terry, another amazing co-creator. Hello Terry.
Hello Lilou, thank you.
Well, it's so exciting to be speaking with you today because Terry is a real inspiration. You have started Terry's Toffee out of your grandmother's recipe, and then because of Julia Cameron and the work and reading her book, you have been doing those morning pages and was totally inspired to do now what you're doing.
Yes.
And it's a very highly successful business. So tell us how this all started.
Well, it began 2001. My partner Michael had suggested we take the Artist Way class at our church, Unity in Chicago. And I understand Julia actually went to that church for a number of years. And so we signed up for the Artist Way class, and I'd had the book for probably 7 years on my shelf, which I hear that story all the time now from people. Oh yeah, I've got the book. I heard about the book, but they never did anything with it. And so we signed up for the class and started doing the work, all the excavating, through the writing, the morning pages, and out of that kept coming up on my morning pages to leave my job, which I thought was crazy because I had a successful career, 20 years, and very comfortable financially with what I was making, and so to leave that was really
crazy.
Yeah, it was, and so I remember I had a conversation with my father, who was literally on his deathbed. It was Thanksgiving Day of 2001. It was the last conversation we ever had. And I said to him that I had been doing this Artist Way workshop, and that I felt that it was time for me to move on and do more creative things in my life. And he applauded that with a caveat: whatever you do, don't leave your job. And I remember feeling this division within myself, and the division was I knew I was going to leave my job. I didn't say anything to him. He did pass away, and 3 months later I resigned from my job. And in the book there's a quote that says, "Leap and the net will appear," and that was my leap. And I had no idea what I was going to do exactly. Toffee was not on my horizon, nothing like that at all, but I knew that I needed to do more creative things. And so I started painting and writing and taking classes on writing, and had a group art exhibit with a bunch of people, and things just started unfolding beautifully. So
and you were continuing to doing those morning pages.
Absolutely, yeah. I continued doing all that journaling work, and it felt like I was just dumping and dumping and dumping and dumping.
And what were you dumping?
A lot of garbage, a lot of negative tape loops in my head, yeah, that were keeping me feeling depressed, and depressed, mentally in a sense, as well as depressed spiritually. And so as I kept dumping that stuff, I felt myself lighten up, and I stopped worrying about money, and I stopped. I wasn't bringing in any money.
Yeah.
I stopped worrying about money, and things began to literally lighten up. And
can you explain to us just briefly the process of the morning pages for the people that haven't read the Artist Way? How does that work?
First thing in the morning, stream of consciousness, just 3 pages, no more, no less. 3 pages of just journaling, whatever comes up. It could be repetitive, the same stuff. You had a fight with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and how angry you are, or whatever, or just whatever. There's no editing. It's not to be reread. It's not to be shared with anybody. It's sacred. And I think the best thing is to do it with your hand, to do the actual writing. In other words, not to sit at your computer and type it out. I feel real strong that there's some important kind of spiritual connection between your brain, your thoughts, and the actual motion of writing. It's very connected, and so that's what it is. It's three pages every morning, stream of consciousness.
Whatever comes up, fears or insights.
Exactly. And so what began to happen as all this dumping, it was almost like fertilizing a garden with manure, because what started happening is things started growing, ideas started coming up, like what about this or do that, and it says that in Julia's book that things do pop up, and you start to pay attention to your positive, that little voice in your brain that's positive and inspiring and feels light, feels electric.
Yeah.
And so then those things started coming up in the morning pages, those ideas, like to sign up for a writing class, take a screenwriting class. Okay, I did. It was really fun. It was really interesting.
So how long was it between the moment that you started those morning pages, then you quit your job? When was that? And how long after that did you started having the Toffee idea?
I resigned from my job in February of 2002, and in November of 2002, Michael's father passed away, and I was really deep into my morning pages, and it came up in my morning pages to make my grandmother's toffee, and I thought, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I'm not a big toffee fan. Like I didn't.
And you were not a cook, or you were in marketing, nonprofit before, nothing.
Right. Nothing. I wasn't professionally trained or schooled, and never had this real foodie kind of aspect about life or anything like that at all. And I thought it was kind of crazy. Like my grandma's toffee, and she had passed away. Yeah, that's my grandmother in the pot she used to make it in. So we went to see Michael's mom, and this was really soon after his father had passed away, and we were sitting around the kitchen table, and I said, I really feel like I want to make my grandma's toffee and take it to market. And they had all had it before I made it for the holidays for Michael's family, and so
there was this family connection right there. I mean, that light your spirit up, your heart started to open, and creativity started.
And it was really, it felt safe to share that with his family. They're really loving and wonderful people, and encouraging, and so is my family as well, but they're in Michigan, and I didn't have an opportunity to talk with them about it at the time. So I talked with Michael's mom, and his brother John was there, and they were very supportive, and I thought, okay, great. Well, I didn't know how that would show up, like what's the next step. As is the case in a lot of things, what's the next step? It's not necessarily something that we plan. It is something that I think the universe brings to you if you're open. I think in her book it says, doors will open where there were none. And I love that concept. So
you were writing, and were you trying to force it, or trying to, as soon as you saw that there was potential, how about the concept, and how did all this came about?
No, I did not force anything. It was all just this beautiful unfolding, and continues to be. And what unfolded at that time, it was really exciting. Michael and I were at Unity, and we were at the service on Sunday, and they said they were having their holiday craft fair the following Sunday, and last chance to sign up for a table. So I turned to Michael after the service, and I said, I'm going to go sign up for a table. And he said, what are you going to sell? And I said, Grandma's Toffee. It's like, let's do it. So we signed up, and a week later we were back there with 70 boxes of my grandmother's toffee. I went home that day from church, and I remember it felt like I was plugged into an electric outlet. I was just buzzing. I designed a logo. I came up with some packaging. It just was like boom,
pouring,
boom, boom,
pouring.
boom. Yes, and it was fast and active and effortless. And we went to Costco and bought tons of butter and sugar, and we got busy in the kitchen, and Michael and I whipped up batch after batch after batch of toffee and packaged it all up and took it to Unity, and we sold out. People wanted more. We sold out.
We gotta call Michael. Michael, come here. We want to be Michael. This is Michael. So this is your partner.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. So you were part of this whole adventure. Were you also doing the morning pages on your end, or how was it to be part of this whole thing?
Yes, I was doing my morning pages. I was the one that suggested we take the Artist Way class. Terry hadn't heard of it, and it was a book that I had bought a long time ago and hadn't finished it. So I used to work in restaurants. I had lost my job in August of 2002, and Unity, the church that we go to, was going to be having the class, the Artist Way. So I turned to Terry, I was like, let's take the class. Echoing what he had said, I started doing my morning pages. I used my clairvoyance as my art.
Oh, because you have that.
Yes.
You're clearly a clairvoyant.
Yes, and so I had the same experiences with Terry, for my clairvoyance and bringing that forth. I'm doing a lot of letting go. And so I was drafted into helping Terry make the toffee. And because it's nothing that I had a food background, but I was done with food. Famous last words when I left the restaurant job, I was done with that venue in my life. And I was drafted, I started making the toffee, and it's actually been very healing for me. Because I worked in great restaurants. I worked in 3 very great restaurants here in Chicago, but a lot of restaurants are very dysfunctional. And at the time, I thought that's what I was worthy of. I thought that's what I deserved. And leaving the restaurant industry behind, I did not want anything to do with food anymore, other than eating it. I didn't want to be creating it. And Terry's Toffee has been very healing for me, because it's proved to me that you can actually have a food-based business and that it can be a healthy business.
But that's something right here that you speak beautifully about it, is that the toffee isn't actually an excuse to just unleash that creativity and allow your spirit to be here and share what it has to share on this planet.
Sure.
Yes.
The toffee's the toffee's the vehicle. That's what manifested. That's not my passion. It's not Michael's passion. We love. I created 15 flavors of gourmet toffee. Just again, plugged in. It was the creativity of the creation. We are co-creators in this universe. So people get really hung up on, the details of the product or the concept. And, my encouragement has always been, don't let that be your driving force. Let your creativity be the driving force behind it, and the product or whatever it is, the service. Michael is incredibly gifted with his clairvoyant work, and it's all connection. It's connection to spirit, to higher self, to something greater, whatever you want to call it. It's greater than just yourself, but it's part of yourself.
Correct.
And that is what is the beauty of what we've created together with Terry's Toffee. And, our toffee has been shipped literally around the world. It's gone to our troops serving in Baghdad. It's gone to a lot of VIPs and dignitaries from the White House to celebrities. We're in the Oscars every year, have been for the past 6 years. We've had incredible press with being on Good Morning America and a lot of local Chicago press and things like that. But none of it has been... Nothing that's happened has been like something we've forced. Matter of fact, actually, when I've learned that trying to force something, it actually turns into sometimes a really chaotic situation that doesn't manifest what I felt. And when I step back and go, was ego there? Was this an ego-driven? And often it could be. And so to set that ego aside and allow it to be this unnatural organic kind of growth is when the beautiful things really begin to grow.
So, for example, for the Oscar, how did that work out? Did you just put it out there, or just come to you?
It was a phone call. It called the office of the Academy out in LA and asked to talk to the executive director, and ended up speaking to his assistant and told her what we had and what I'd like them to consider doing, and we sent Toffee out to them and they fell in love with it, and we're now a special treat. They don't do the big swag bag anymore, but for the past couple of years they are apparently addicted to our Toffee now. So they put it in the green room and the dressing rooms every night of the or every year for the Oscars.
So it's been just like this easy process all along. The ideas, the marketing, the logo, the press, the partnership, everything.
Absolutely. There's one thing I wanted to say prior, when we started our morning pages and I started my energy work and my reading work, I was working out of our home, as was Terry making our Toffee out of our kitchen. And what was really interesting for me to watch, because he is my partner in life and professionally, he would do his morning pages, and through his morning pages he might have a question of, I need to figure out how to package, I need to figure out how to temper chocolate. Ask the question, and then I would schedule a reading. Somebody was coming to see me for a reading. And at that time, people were still able to come through our home and go downstairs into the healing center. And when we would finish, I'd bring them back upstairs, and Terry would be in the kitchen making Toffee, so I would introduce them. And I swear 99% of the time, the people that came to see me would meet him. He was like, I'm trying to figure out boxes or packaging. And the person I had just read would say, oh, I used to work in, I used to make boxes. I used to work in packaging. They would have an answer for him. I need to figure out how to temper chocolate. This would be like his prayer in the morning, or the question in the morning pages, like, I need to figure out how to temper chocolate. My client would come in the afternoon and she said, oh, I used to work with a candy manufacturer in California. And she would have the answer for him, or he, or whoever it was.
That quick.
And it was that quick. And it was amazing to watch him manifest what he was asking for, and the answers, how quickly they came to him and through him. So as part
of the morning pages, were you not just saying what you felt, but also asking questions and inquiring?
They were just like questions to the universe. Okay, so this is coming up now. It's a challenge. How do I do that? It was almost like a conversation with God. Like, okay, you led me here, and I'm open, and now what do I do next? Yeah.
What do I do next?
And people were showing up left and right, and doors were just
open. What was happening for you in between also? That's something, because sometimes when we're waiting for the next answer to one of our questions, you can come back into a fear, or into, what do you do in between? What was your attitude? Not attitude, that's not the right word in English, but the how are you?
No, but in an emotional level, you still have, I look at it this way, we have these five senses that we use in our human body that we walk through life using, sense of taste and sight and all of that. But what this helped me to do was connect with my intuition, or my sixth sense, and that to me is the most valuable sense of all. You can't argue with it. Michael talks about this a lot. It's not, you can never argue with somebody's intuition or their sixth sense. So this was cueing me into that. However, I still had my five senses I'm dealing with in this human body, which absolutely fear would pop up, and doubt, and oh my God, this is crazy. What am I doing here making Toffee? And at the time we were making it out of our home, and
also this was in 2002, and we were in the beginning of a soft recession. And so people were looking at us like smiling and saying, oh, congratulations, good luck, and walking away from us saying, in 6 months, I bet you they'll both be looking for work.
Yeah, we opened up our shop here now on Grand Avenue in 2004, because it'll be 6 years this year. Yeah. And people would walk into our shop and they'd see like the packaging was different, but they'd see our Toffee on the shelf and they'd say, what else do you sell? And I said, just Toffee. And you could see the look on their face like, oh my God, I give you about a month or two. Well, 6 years later, we're still here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And big time, 80 stores are around
yes,
the
around
US.
80, 90 stores. And
Yeah.